Hello, everybody, and welcome back to some more short horror stories. Today, we'll be browsing r/short scary stories, and the first story we have here is take a photo of your kid. As Tucker raced out the door, I grabbed him. Hang on. I quickly turned around and snapped a photo on my phone. Oh, I've heard of that, Amanda said. Take a photo of the kid every time he leaves the house, right? So you know exactly what he's wearing and stuff if he goes missing. Yep, exactly, I told her. But that was a lie. I really couldn't bring myself to tell her the truth. I had hundreds of photos of Tucker on my phone, standing by the door, different outfits, smiling, not smiling. Some were even blurry, but I never skipped taking a photo. Never. Half an hour later, I heard Tucker at the door. Mom. Excuse me, I said to Amanda as I got up. I pulled out the photo from today on my phone, then I looked through the peephole slowly. I did a one-by-one comparison. Hair, shirt, wrist, watch or no, pants, socks, and shoes. And my hand started to go for the lock. But wait, no. In the photo, Tucker's hair had been parted to the right. But I looked back out of the peephole. His hair was parted on the left. Shit, I muttered. I called Tucker's phone. Where are you? At Adrian's house. We're playing on his new Nintendo. I pocketed the phone and looked back out the peephole. The porch was empty. My heart was pounding. I went back over to the table where Amanda sat. She looked at me expectantly. He just needed to go ask me something, I said. An hour later, Amanda was gone, and I got on my laptop and got to work. But 10 minutes later, the melodic chime at the doorbell sounded. It was Tucker standing on the porch. I pulled out my phone again. Hair, shirt, wrist, pants, socks, shoes. My eyes went back and forth between the photo and the peephole. His hair was parted to the right this time. I almost opened the door, but I realized his socks were green instead of blue. I walked away and went back to the desk, blowing out of breath when I got back to work. They always got one thing wrong. It was never a perfect copy. A half an hour later, the doorbell rang again. I went to the peephole, but I could already tell it was the real Tucker. Hair, shirt, wrists, pants, socks, shoes, they all matched. I called his cell and watched him pick up from his pocket. That's you, right? I said into the phone. A crack of static burst through the speakers. What? Tucker leaned towards the peephole, his face twisted into a horrible grin. Wide blue eyes stared into me. He opened his mouth as if screaming, and a burst of static came through the phone. Then I realized he had all his teeth. But Tucker was missing his right incisor. For every picture going forward, Tucker is going to have to smile. The next story we have is We Were Told Not to Look. Airplanes scared me long before I ever stepped inside one. Not the physics of flight, but the helplessness. But here I was, 27,000 feet above Nebraska, in white-knuckling an armrest because some startup in Phoenix thought I was worth relocating. The window shade was obviously slammed shut, but thin solar filaments of daylight bled around its edges, taunting. What killed me wasn't the fear. It was the normalcy of it all. The man beside me slept with his mouth agape, his crossword puzzle halfway finished, 3 down Elysian Fields. Behind us was a couple who split a turkey wrap, lettuce confetti spilling all onto the tray, and the table was sticky with ginger ale. But No one else noticed the engine's pitch tilting into a whine or how the overhead bins creaked like old floorboards. No, they were all playing their parts. The napper, the snacker, the guy laughing at Fast X on mute, while I cataloged exit rows and wondered if the oxygen mask actually worked. Just then, however, the PA system crackled awake. Passengers, we've reached 30,000 feet. Please refrain from looking out your windows. No upward infliction, just a command, no reminder. The cabin froze. A businessman near the galley snorted, "The hell kind of prank?" But his voice died as the message repeated, slower this time. Syllables stretched like a taffy. "Please refrain." 3 people ended up looking anyway. The man in 12B went first. Balding, khakis, the kind of guy you'd expect to argue about reclining seats. He peeled up his shade, and neon blue light started to flood his face. The color of deep-sea jellyfish pulsing in time with his carteret. "There's a city above the clouds," he whispered. He began to smile, but his grin didn't stop at his cheeks. It kept going, his lips splitting like it was paper, jaw unhinging, and a wet snap of connective tissue. Blood streaked his chin, but he kept smiling, eyes locked on whatever hung in that impossible sky. Then the screaming started, not from him, but from the woman in 15F, clawing at her own eyelids just after a single glance. Her pupils had dissolved, vicious black tears pooling in her lap. And the teenager across from her just leaned forward, pressed to the window, giggling as his nose cartilage had liquefied, dribbling down the glass in pink rivulets. The cabin had started to stink with a metallic-like smell, like a slaughterhouse floor hosed down with rubbing alcohol. Bodies slumped in their seats, frozen in whatever pose was their last. I didn't look, not when the man in 12B's skull caved inwards like a rotting pumpkin, not when the lights flickered, casting jagged shadows that didn't match the seats. My knees jammed against the seat back in front of me. My arms were welded to the armrest and my breath shallow as trapped as a bird's. And the worst part, the silence after. No more screams, no more engines, just a drop of fluids that poured into the aisles, puddles, and click, click, click on the PA system, short-circuiting itself on a loop. Windows, windows, windows. The next story we have is called My First Child. Luckily, I heard them first. I ducked down and started frantically whispering to my child to scurry underneath the bridge while tying my satchel of supplies, including the pupper's harness, to my shoe and lowering it. I hadn't wanted to name it. Bubba came to mind, but my kid came up with Jinx and it stuck. "Mom, please, can I come up? I'm scared. Jinx is scared." "It's fine. You're fine. Jinx is fine. Do as I say and stay. I'll take care of us, my love." I made sure to add a few more suction cup hickeys to my skin, complementing the makeup markings I made. I lowered the rope a bit more and pretended to be asleep, or at least as dead as I could be. Just as the soldiers got to my prone position, I quit squirming. I started to pray to every god out there that the kid could hold on and that the pup would be still, that the trace dawn I gave her had kicked in, that the strangers wouldn't discover either and or that both were immune. The soldiers scrutinized my fake bolts and welds and labored breathing as I did my best, acting to distract them from the thin rope around my calf dangling off the side of the bridge. Nah, she's a goner. One said after what felt like a fucking eternity. My leg ached from the weight of the rope, desperately holding on to my heart and her pup. And my chest ached, thinking how my little one's arms must be feeling. I still remember the twitch as the long infected did at the sound of other humans. The soldiers backed away, not wanting any part of this bit, and all ran out of my vicinity. I was finally able to allow myself to breathe. But then she barked. The next and very last story for tonight is my new camera shows my future. I wasn't looking for a camera that day when I was at the thrift store. I was just there wondering and looking at random trinkets. An old digital camera from the early 2000s that caught my eye though. It was sitting on a desk with a small charger case, and curiously I picked it up to mess with it, and surprisingly it turned on. It had a charge and it lit, showing me a blank screen. I took pictures of the room around me just for fun, just playing around, and the pictures looked completely normal, nothing out of the ordinary. A small red sticker on it said that it was only $10, and to be honest, that was a steal in my eyes. $10 for a camera that worked and it still had its charger. I scooped up everything and rushed to the desk to put it on the counter immediately. The lady checked me out and I left excited to try my new camera out immediately. Outside, I aimed it at my car and took a snapshot. The digital screen flashed black for a second and the image appeared. It wasn't a picture of my car, but rather a picture of a cake with candles lit up on it. This was odd to me, but I just assumed it was an old picture on the SD card. The next day came and it was my birthday. My best friend brought the cake out she had gotten me and I stared in shock. It was the exact same cake from the picture. Exactly the same cake. The same frosting, colors, design, everything. Even the candle placement and the numbers were the same. After the party, I grabbed my camera again and took another picture. This time the living room couch. In return, I got a picture of a little black puppy on my screen. This had to be tomorrow's prediction, though I didn't own any pets, and this didn't match any of my friends. The next day came and I was pretty nervous about what the picture meant, if it even meant anything. As the day went by, I forgot about the camera and the picture until I was walking back to my apartment. A black puppy ran across the streets and it was heading right towards me and it had no collar on. The same one from the picture from yesterday. I picked up the lost pup and brought it home with me. The camera, every time I took a picture, would show me something from tomorrow. Day by day, this continued. I would take a random picture and it would show me tomorrow's future. It would show anything from traffic, surprise lunches at work, or me losing my keys. It was simple stuff for months. Though one day, the picture that showed me scared me. I stared at a picture of myself. I was standing with my back to the camera and a man in all black holding a knife was behind me. Tomorrow's prediction was my death. I should have never used that camera. I do hope you enjoyed tonight's stories. If you did, tag along, because I do plan on posting more of these. And like always, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.